I guess you have to consider someone's definition of success. You know, really. When I first started, my dream was $10,000 a month. If I could just make $10,000 a month, you know, I would make more than my teachers or something. You know what I mean? And I never did. I went from making none to my first real month online was $17,000, and then, you know, it grew pretty substantially after that.
Greatness is not this wonderful, esoteric, elusive, God-like feature that only the special among us will ever taste. You know, it's something that truly exists in all of us.
But I guess if I were to speak for other people, especially people just getting started, I think that the monetary amount would be whatever it takes to not have to go to work.
Profits are better than wages. Once I understood that, I got rich. Wages make you a living, which is fine. Profits make you a fortune, which is super fine.
The keys to being successful online are very, very simple. Actually, there are 2 commandments I have on how to be successful online. The first commandment is thou shalt not fuck around. The second commandment is thou shalt not be a pussy. Most people spend a lot of time reading forums, you know, buying products and never doing anything. They're fucking around, you know.
You don't try to build a wall. You don't set out to build a wall. You don't say, I'm going to build the biggest, baddest, greatest wall that's ever been built. You don't start there. You say, I'm going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. And you do that every single day.
And soon you have a wall.
And soon you have a wall.
You know, if you don't fuck around, you'll be successful. Get to work. You know, the second of the commandments is thou shalt not be a pussy is this. They say, well, what if it doesn't work, you know? I'm perfectly willing to go into enormous debt to attend seminar after seminar after seminar and to buy product after product after product and get all of this education, but I'm terrified to spend $100 on a Google AdWords campaign to try to launch a product off the ground, to try to test a market and everything. They're just being pussies.
The first step before anybody else in the world believes it is you have to believe it. There's no reason to have a plan B because it distracts from plan A.
If you can accept the truth that you're going to fail about 98% of the time, but the 2% of the time that you don't fail, you're probably going to hit these massive oil wells that can reward you for the rest of your life.
What if I could take on another skill that could create more freedom for my life? And just saying, I'm not having to go out and try and do it all perfectly right now. What I'm going to do for the next 8 weeks, I'm going to create a little ritual. I'm going to do one thing a day to condition my mind, right, so that I get strong, so I follow through. I'm going to read something. I'm going to listen to something. I'm going to immerse myself. I'm going to go for an intense jog, or I'm going to go lift weights, but I'm going to do it consciously to get in a state where I'm going to follow through. That's number one, because people follow through when they're in state. Second, I'm going to get clear about why this is a must for me. Not because my back's against the wall, but because I want to master an area of life that could create some freedom. I'm not going to master it overnight, but I got the system, I got the plan. I'm going to do one thing a day. I'm going to work on one subject a week. This week's going to be about figuring out what the right product or industry is. Next week's going to be basics of building traffic. And each week I'm going to make a little progress, and I'm going to get to a goal, whatever that is. I'm going to make $1,000, my $300 in a week. I'm going to get to my $2,500. That first $2,500 is the most exciting.
Unbelievable.
The first $300. I remember
It's the most life-changing, too.
It is the most life-changing. I remember I was supposed to be a truck driver, making $24,000 a year because I'd be making the most anybody in my family had ever made.
How'd that work out for you?
Yeah, real well. Thank God I'm not driving a truck, right?
You know, so the secret to internet success is, you know, get to work, don't fuck around, don't be a pussy. And when you get knocked down, get back up, because you're going to get knocked down, period.
Being realistic is the most commonly traveled road to mediocrity. Why would you be realistic? What's the point of being realistic?
Just put up a barrier.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. It's done. It's already done. The second I decide it's done, it's already done. Now we just got to wait for y'all to see.
Self-confidence really comes from feeling good about yourself. And one of the best ways to feel good about yourself is at the end of the day to know that you poured it on. You did your best. If you conducted a meeting, you did the best you could. If you made a phone call, it was the best phone call you could possibly make. If you wrote a letter, it wasn't a casual letter, it was your best letter. At the end of those kind of days, when you feel good about yourself, self-confidence starts to rise. You know that if you can have this kind of a good day, you can have another one the next day, and those days become the weeks become the months, and the month becomes a powerful year. Self-confidence comes from the lack of neglect. If you will not neglect to do the small daily disciplines, that's where self-confidence comes from.
And whether it's new career life or new business life or new friendship life or new married life or new life of any kind, it has to come from the work. It comes from the labor. In fact, labor was so important. Here was the original formula for labor. If you have forgotten it, remind yourself. For your notes, 6 days of labor and what? 1 day of rest. Now, it's important not to get those numbers mixed up. Why is that? Here's why. Why not 5-2? I don't know, maybe 5 and 2 would be okay. If God would have thought of 5 and 2, he might have made it 5 and 2. Right? You can't think of everything when you're putting one of these together. But maybe one of the reasons for 6-1, jot this down now. If you rest too long, the weeds take the garden. Not to think so is naive. As soon as you've planted, the busy bugs and the noxious weeds are out to take it. So you can't linger too long in the rest mode. You've got to go back to work. 6 days of work, then rest and spirituality and friendship and change of pace. And then go back over the last 6 days. What did I do? What did I miss? Who did I miss? What happened? So that I can invest those corrections in the next 6 days of higher productivity.
The biggest reason people fail online is twofold. One, the insidious killer of them all is they don't get started or they don't get back up. You know, so they get paralyzed with fear. Well, what if this doesn't work? So that takes out 90% of them. And then the 9% left over will actually try, and it's not going to work out the first time, and then they never try again. So that's the biggest killer right there. The second biggest killer is people never learn how to sell. You know, most people cannot sell their way out of a paper bag. They get wrapped up in the technology, you know, they get wrapped up in Twitter or Facebook or something. They'll go buy a tool that gets them like 9 billion Twitter followers, but they never learn how to sell those people anything.
He said, but imagine, if you will, being on your deathbed and standing around your bed, the ghost of the ideas, the dreams, the abilities, the talents given to you by life, and that you, for whatever reason, you never acted on those ideas. You never pursued that dream. You never used those talents. We never saw your leadership. You never used your voice. You never wrote that book. And there they are standing around your bed looking at you with large angry eyes saying, we came to you and only you could have given us life. And now we must die with you forever. And the question is, if you died today, what ideas, what dreams, what abilities, what talents, what gifts will die with you?
If we would ask of ourselves that kind of performance, and you've got to ask it of yourself. You know, I can't ask it of you. I would try to inspire you. I would try my best to share with you what it might taste like, what it's like to finally make your fortune. It happened for me. But here's what you must do. You must demand it of yourself. Society doesn't demand that you read a couple of books a week and improve your intelligence and your knowledge. That you must demand of yourself. Society does not demand that you build a financial wall around your family nothing can get through. That's not a demand of society. But you must demand it, if you wish it, you must demand it of yourself.
You find the market first. You find that hungry market. You find out what they want, and then you give it to them. You give it to them better than the other guy. You know, and if you can do that, you're done.